to start again. So let's see.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we stayed on and it's recording. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am your host, Decon, here with a very, very dark and lovely
Ashley Oracle.
and this is my spooky voice. Anyway, yeah, be sure to like and subscribe before we go any further. And today's topic is a fun one. What I like about this topic, it's about
being brought by though.
Oh, this episode is being brought by the Silver Witch. Go ahead and go get some spell bags. Anything from home protection to good energy to good luck. The Silver Witch. So go ahead and check her out.
Hire you for advertisement.
The what?
I said nobody should ever hire you to do actual advertisement.
Why? This is reality. This is real. People like an everyman. And also brought to you by Lottie. So if you guys want a nice mystery box ranging from everything to small boxes to large boxes, anything for decoration or for your spells and all that other good. Are you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
Anything for your spells or your, house blessing, you'll find all of those awesome ingredients, in that mystery box.
And she's having a sale on her jewelry right now too, I saw.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That's some pretty cool shit.
I need a necklace.
Like I was looking at that, I was like, man, I should get my nipples pierced.
Are you trying to hide your puffy ones?
Okay, first of all, I don't have puffy nipples.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I am 100% sure. I don't have those. I don't know anybody with those. If I did, if we're friends and you happen to have puffy nipples I didn't know about, let me know and never speak to me again. So that was the weirdest advertisement.
One of your best friends ever, and he just hid that from you for a long time and just randomly came out and said, hey, guess what? Would you really be like, don't speak to me ever again? Yeah. We've known each other for years. Don't speak to me.
I don't give a shit if we're twins. It'll be the equivalent of you secretly telling me that you're a communist. Be like, hey, I've been reading up on communism and I think I agree with some other stuff. Be like, yeah, don't talk to me ever again.
Okay.
All right. Okay, now that we get that covered.
How do those two coincide, though?
What?
Okay. Communists.
Communists. I guess it depends on the way you're looking at it. Maybe, you develop puffy nipples because you become a communist, or you're selected to communism because you have puffy nipples. So there you go. That's my explanation. I might write a book on puffy nipples. You know those books that they write for women when they're leave your abuser, leave an alcoholic. I'll be like, leave your husband with puffy nipples. So
you're gonna have to go get the neighbor anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go get him, and he's like, "What? Something breaks in your house?" Or you're gonna ask your puffy nippled husband that's probably playing Donkey Kong now for 8 hours straight. No, you don't want that.
It's a good game, though. Can you not compare that game to Puffy Nipples? Do a lame game.
So what?
Donkey Kong is amazing. Do a stupid game. Why do you have to bring Donkey Kong to this?
Well, it doesn't. The point is, it doesn't matter the game. It means if you're willing to sit there for more than an hour and you're playing, don't you have shit to do? Like, don't you have like something to get done? I'm pretty sure that anybody's house where somebody's playing a video game for more than an hour, I can go over there and be like, hey, tell me what needs to be fixed, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be bought, what needs to be, whatever the hell it is, what project needs to get done right now. Oh, I have to da-da-da, I have to da-da-da. And I'll be like, and you've been sitting here for over an hour playing a video game and your puffy nipples are protruding. Like, this is why. Anyway, so
Oh, that poor guy.
so today's topic is on the cosmic witch. So
Yeah.
Where do I even start with this? The cosmic witch is such a good topic because there's so much lore and there's so much knowledge, and there's just so much mystery also about the cosmic witch. Like, a lot of cultures out there have their own history of a cosmic witch or the cosmic witch. So, and a lot of you are saying, like, what's a cosmic witch? Is that, that lady that tries to sell you the Cosmo magazine and she shows up every Saturday to get you to buy magazines?
Pretty sure that magazine died out like 15 years ago, but
well, what do I know? Or is it the Silver Surfer with the power cosmic? Is he going through different universes collecting worlds for Galactus?
You want to hear something wild too? So I joined this witch group on the Book of Face. Okay, get into their little chat, and I asked, "Hey, are there any other types of cosmic witches in here?" None of them knew what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. So that's very common.
I don't even know what to say to you people anymore. So I didn't even say anything. I was in shock.
Yeah, just
like how know?
Well, it's for a lot of reasons. Like, number one is they're ill-informed. You got to understand now that if you ask somebody, what kind of witch are you? There's so many now different branches. Like, there's even such a thing called a kitchen witch.
Yeah.
But if you ask somebody, like, what's a cosmic witch? And they're like, I don't know what that is. And then you say, oh, it's somebody that, looks at the stars. It's somebody that gets their energy and their power and their essence from the moon. And they're like, oh, you mean a lunar witch? And it's like, no, that's part of it. That's part of it. What does the word cosmo mean? Like, what are the cosmos? Everything above you. So it's like, well, I guess, I do spells out when there's a full moon, and it's like, well, that's something that a cosmic witch does. So the reason why they don't know what it is because I think that they've taken the main thing and just branched it out, like because a lot of it is, I think it's just because there's just so much. So I'm gonna tell a quick story, okay? So in El Salvador, you have
everybody have an hour. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, guys, this was a great episode. Thank you guys for joining. So in El Salvador, they have different types of witches. There's witchcraft is illegal in most places in El Salvador, except for one place, and that one place is called Izalco. And Izalco, they call it the what?
It's probably the only place I could go without the fear of being arrested.
Yeah, it's called La Tierra de los Brujos, so the land of the sorcerers. And they say that if you're somebody and again, damn, like, it's what's sad is that a lot of people now that have become witches, and a lot of it is a hobby. It's not like something it's not like a lifestyle. It's just something they do or something that they do in the afternoon because it's cool. So
right,
they don't get it. Yeah, they don't get it. But when you have somebody that's actually like in tune with the energy, into all kinds of stuff. That they say that the moment that they visit um, Izalco and they step on the ground, immediately, they feel like this rush. You know, it's like, and the feeling is like, was
Oh,
it script? The what?
I want to go.
So, yeah, guys. So join Nightmare Road on the road.
On a
So, yeah, on a field trip. Dee, 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 just like the Magic School Bus. Um, so, the bus driver's been drinking. So you have people that go, and the feeling that they described is a feeling of when you get excited. Let's say that you have like a trip, or you have something that you're really looking forward to, and you get that burst of energy, and you're like, oh man, this is exciting. The
oh,
moment
okay.
yeah, so the moment that you step on the ground, like that rush immediately hits you, you know, and you get like this energy, and you're like super like excited, but you don't know why, because you're nervous, because you may not speak the language, you don't know like what's going on, but there's something for everyone. So
You can
there's people out there. Yeah, exactly. You can feel it. Um, so there's people out there that, let's say they are an alchemist witch. They use the ingredients, and that's their main practice, is doing these things, and they're immediately drawn through either a smell or through a feeling, and they go, and then they find a little stand where the witch that's running it has all of the ingredients that you need, and you're like, holy shit, like I've never seen it, what is this for, and you're drawn to it. And or you have somebody that, let's say they do divination, and then you're like, I want to go here, I don't know why I'm getting this feeling, I'm getting pulled this way, and then you go, and then you find a seer. They're like, hey, I have these kind of. So it's the same thing. They arrive and they're just anxious, like oh man, like I don't know, I had this feeling of like anxiety, I want to do all these things, and it's making me, but I'm excited. So that's Isalco.
like a little
So
candy store.
yeah, exactly. Imagine if instead of a candy store, it's a cocaine store, and you're just, like that rush. I've never done cocaine. So anyway, so I don't know. So I went.
We're on the air. No comments. Keep rolling.
Jeez. So anyway, so in Izalco, la tierra de los brujos, there is many stories. So what's crazy is that witches will fight for territory. Like it's insane. Like if you look at it, the what?
Hell yeah!
Yeah, they fight. They fight for the territory. So a lot of it is also because of tourism, or they want to hog the energy for themselves. So they form clans, and it's the oddest thing, because here they don't do that. Here, like it's almost, and I'm gonna say,
Are you sure about that?
well, this is what I was gonna say is
Hey.
here it's they're not doing it because of some kind of right that they believe they have. They're doing it because it's fun, and they do something with their friends, but all of a sudden somebody's stealing your business, and they may send you like a nasty letter, or like a nasty text, or they'll talk shit on you. They'll call you like little petty stuff, or they might make you feel sick one day. In these kind of places, a lot of the witches are casting spells over like dark shit, to the point where
with like the experience there, like there it's more ancient.
Yeah.
Like here, it's like you said, here in America, it's more of a hobby. There, it goes back to like, oh my God, I can't even imagine how far back it goes. Just the Cosmic Witch in general goes back to BC.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's an excellent point. So the witches are very territorial. They'll go to war with each other. There was a case in 2000. Let's see, what year was this? 2002, I believe it was, where this clan of witches died, and they were poisoned. So, and as soon as they died, you have all these, like gypsy witches, or they call them las brujas gitanas, gypsies. And they moved into that territory. So they had two spots now. And yeah, they go to war with each other. But one thing that they all have in common, and this is where you see them, they have these like little battles, even into fist fights or stabbings. They go into all these little, confrontations in the day, right? Like, they're all doing it in the daytime.
I mean, why not? Shit doesn't have to just happen at night. And that's the difference is people here will say, oh, spells have to be done at night. This has to be done at night. Hauntings happen at night. All that shit can be done during the day. It can all happen during the day. It's not just nighttime. And it drives me crazy.
But they have also a very specific reason why they do it, like during the daytime. And I asked my father a long time ago, and I'm like, ¿Y por qué las brujas? Like, why do the witches? Why are they doing that in broad daylight? And he said, because they're fighting over territory, he says. And the last thing you want is to be fighting, giving somebody an advantage, because when everything is going down and everybody's fighting and it's nighttime, the cosmic witches will come out. So a cosmic witch derives their power from the moon and from the stars, right? Even when people, and that's what bothers me, is that when people say shit like, well, I tried to do like lunar magic, but it's too cloudy, so I can't see the moon. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's not what you can see. Yeah. Huh?
I used to be that way.
But that's the thing is, that's what happens.
My head too.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you're now using what you can see and not with your physical eyes, right? I can't see the moon or I can't see the stars, so I can't. It's just like when people have solar panels and it's cloudy out, so I'm not getting any solar radiation. Like, no, it doesn't matter if it's cloudy or not. Okay. Like the radiation's still there, and it's the same concept. So anyway, so they hold their fights during the daytime because at night is when the cosmic witches will come out. Las hijas de la luna, or las brujas lunares, las brujas cósmicas, or las hijas de Selena, the daughters of Selene. So that they'll come out at night. So what's crazy is if you're in that area at night, you can hear. So when they walk, now it's like it brings back like a lot of nostalgic, feelings, because at night you hear like these little chimes of these little coins, cling, they crimp together, and you hear it a lot. And then if you look out your window, you see like these women in black and red or black and purple, and they're walking, and what they have in their hands, like dangling like a bracelet, is these coins that they punctured holes in, and they're just like dangling. Oh. So that's the sound. And they do that to announce that they're coming. So when people hear that, they leave and they're like, ah, shit. So that whole territory that's contested at night, during the daytime, it's like, this is my area. This is my area. At night, no one's there. That whole area is what they're going to practice, and they don't care. So they're walking and they're casting their spells, and they're doing all these things. And there's a really cool video, like creepy for a lot of people. But I would say cool, where you can actually type in, witches of El Salvador cast a curse, on the town in the middle of the day, in a place where it's illegal. So you see them and they have their whole thing, and they're wearing, their purple and black or the red and black, and they have their, and they're throwing bone powder all around the ground. They're cursing the ground. And you see armed police officers knowing that it's illegal, and they don't want to stop them because they're afraid. They're like, ah, shit.
They're gonna fuck them up.
Yeah, so they wait, and you see them in the background too. And there's men with rifles, like soldiers, and they're just looking, but they don't want to look directly at them. So they cast their spells, and then they leave. They just march, and then they come and they start telling the crowd, "All right, guys, we're gonna have." So, how do you stop that? There's a special. Well, you can, in a way, but you need somebody that's yeah. So you have to get, even in those people that follow something like Santeria, you need is a bembe. And what is a bembe? It's a bigger spirit or a darker. So how do you stop a cosmic witch's spell? You look for an older one or a darker one. And this is when the shit begins to get scary. So
One more
I'm telling you
power.
this whole, yeah, you need somebody that's bigger, somebody that has a little bit more authority, or somebody that's more aggressive. And an aggressive cosmic witch is what a lot of people fear, and they're like, shit, that's why they don't go out at night, not just because of the malevolent spirits, but because there's witches out there. So there's a very famous witch in El Salvador. This is the most famous witch. Her name is Juana Pancha. Juana Pancha was she was around in the 1800s. It's been rumored that it's been 17 to 1600s. So 1800s is mostly where people place her. And she was a peasant girl. Couldn't read, couldn't write, was beautiful. Some people describe her that she was beautiful, but because of her low class, they treated her badly, and men used her. Men of higher class would use her and then discard her. And then she goes, and this very rich man goes and basically like puts a mark on her. He's like, all right, I've used you. I promised you all these things. And he said, and there's many different stories. And what's interesting is that a lot of these stories are not written in Spanish. They're translated to Spanish. They're translated to Spanish from a language called Pipil or Nahuatl. It's like the old English. The what?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that is the original language. Some people said what kind of Indians existed in El Salvador. Were they Aztecs? Were they Mayans? They were actually what is called a pipil, which a pipil is like an off branch of something called a Toltec, called Tolteca. So from there, you have like a lot of different stories, like heavy magic users, cannibals, cannibalistic tribes. Even to this day, cannibalism is still not illegal in El Salvador. So that's why that's one of the negative stereotypes that El Salvador gets, unfortunately, is that they're like, there's these cannibalistic.
So it's not illegal here either.
Well, they look at it like murder.
You
like,
can't
you killed somebody, or
body, but you can eat it.
Yeah, but there's a loophole where they will say is they're like, well, it's desecration of a human body. So
exactly, that's the legal part. But
yeah, El Salvador doesn't exist. Yeah, well, anyway, so that's a different topic. So you can go to certain stands and you even see like human heads, human skulls that some people use for like the darker. Yeah, in some stands, and it's dark. That's what I'm saying. It's dark, So you get a lot of people here. They're like, I'm a practicer. What?
Have you seen that?
Have I seen it? Yeah, you. Well, they don't have like any meat. They don't have any meat on them anymore. They've been like dried out, so they've been.
Oh yeah, because that's so much better.
They've been salted and they've been cured, and they've been marked with ash, and they have like symbols on their foreheads carved into them, and then you can buy your anchor. So in the world of ancient witchcraft, you had anchors, right? So this is an item that you had, and that you still, still, well, when you ask a witch, like, oh, do you have any anchors? Or like, I don't know what you mean. It's because it's like such an old practice, right? And an anchor is an item which holds you to your element and you can derive power from, right? So even if you're feeling shitty, your magic's not going to be strong. If you're feeling whatever, but then you have an anchor, like you're channeling this item and you're getting your energy from this device. This is your anchor. So these skulls for dark magic, these are your anchors, So anyway, we're kind of going off so back to Juana. So anyway, so she's been used by this guy and she was discarded. I don't know. It doesn't specify what kind of mark. Like, I don't know if he marked her face or it was just like, like, don't talk to her or don't do anything. So everybody treated her like garbage. So in her story, it says that she would walk around at night so that people wouldn't see her, because people would yell things at her and throw things at her when they saw her. So the story says that she walked at night, and then the moon and the stars became her only allies, her only friends. So, and then she fell into a and I'm going off of a translation here. So, so it's translated from Pipil to Spanish to English, right? So you have three. So a lot of things are like mixed in there. So you kind of have to like be in the middle. So it says that her third eye was opened and she was able to see, and she laid down and she was being spoken to. So, she fell in a trance, maybe she fell over and she's had this vision, or if you take it literally, her third eye literally opened and she was seeing things. And it said that somebody came down and it was a woman all in white with pet rabbits all around her. So, and this woman came and told her that she was strong and then she was beautiful and her suffering ends here, but you have to make your suffering stop here. So, and she called her daughter, like, you are my daughter, And no, guys, if you look at it, it's like, oh, was that her mom? Like, no, this was Selena. Mm-hmm. So immediately it said that she was invigorated and now she could fully see her surroundings. She said even though it was pitch black, it might as well have been day. So, a lot of people are like, did she go and rally around all the people and said, hey, you don't have to take the... No. So the story goes that she went to the people that wronged her and visited them one by one and fucked them up. Like, it doesn't specify in what way. Like, you don't know in what... But it doesn't say that in what way did she do it. But so in those times, yeah, if you're a woman, yeah. So a lot of people are saying that maybe she poisoned them, maybe she. So one of the guys' names was Ernesto. Who was it? Ernesto Mejia. He was like, even to this day, the Mejia family are a big name, but they don't allow witches near their homes, near their businesses, anything like that. So it said that she paid him a visit, and this man had a very like expensive coat. And this coat was his pride, and people were not allowed to touch it, because it was just so it said that she visited him, and then he came out on his hands and knees in front of a group of people, and she was wiping her feet on this coat. She was like using this coat to clean her off her feet.
Oh, yeah.
And the story is that she flew away, is what they said. That part, I don't know what to make of that, but people were saying that she flew, and she just flew off. So people decided it's part of the lore. So she started visiting all these families that wronged her. She wasn't just visiting the person that wronged her, families. So she was visiting, and then ruin began to fall on a lot of these families. Their animals would die. One of them went insane and would, for the rest of his life, bark like a dog, like couldn't speak anymore, would just bark, so.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. So what they all decided to do was they all pulled their money together, right? And a lot of people are saying, did they hire people to go after her? No, they bought this property that was, I think it's over 300 acres. And they call it El Cerro de Juana Pancha. So this is the valley of Juana Pancha. And in there's a cave. And in this cave is where it's Juana Pancha.
Juana
Pancha. So her original name is Juana Pancha. Her original name is Juana Francisca. So Pancha is like it's kind of like when somebody's name is James and they call him Jimmy or Jim, So okay, so Juana Pancha. Her name is Juana Francisca. So Juana Francisca has her own territory. To this very day, if you go, people are very nervous. Like you can go on tour and like go on a hike, but they say, hey, don't get close to this territory because this is Juana Pancha's territory. So this very day, people say that if you travel when the sun is going down, you're able to see the figure of a woman in the mouth of this cave with a candle, and she just watches. And if
I
you're
want to.
it's the well, I mean, and that's so this is where it gets fun. So in El Salvador, they have people that are matabrujas, they're witch killers, witch hunters. And what makes them special is incantations, curses don't work on them. You can do whatever you want, like it's not gonna work. So like there was a case in 2013, I believe it was 2013, 2014, where this witch killed her children. She hacked her child to death with a machete. Actually, she didn't manage to kill her teenage daughter. She like injured her really bad. So they brought in a small army of 20 men to surround her house. No one went inside. She was in there, and they're like, we can't go in there. So then finally, this man arrived who was a matabruja. He goes in there, and as soon as he gave the okay, they stormed in the place and arrested her. So he went in there.
So 20 men against this one woman.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, so you can look at it like, is she that powerful or is it the superstition?
Yeah.
But the thing is that witchcraft is not, a witch in El Salvador is not what you look at it here. Like if you tell somebody like, oh, my wife's a witch, my woman's a witch, people like here are like, oh, that's cool, da, 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 da. If you say that in El Salvador, like my woman's a witch.
Crystals. That's what I feel like people around here are. Whenever I tell people I practice, they're immediately like, oh, so you work with like crystals and stuff? I'm just like, that is a very, very tiny part of it. But
yeah, it's
yeah.
So
very minuscule.
Yeah, it's like if you tell somebody I'm a fisherman and they're like, oh, you tie your own flies. And it's like, I guess that's part of it.
Sure.
So
there's just so much more to it.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. So when you say that to somebody, they immediately go, like, you ever seen the movie Borat, where they find out that the hotel they're staying in is owned by an old Jew couple, and then the music goes ambient, and then he kind of like they're looking at each other like, it's if you tell somebody
racism.
so if you tell somebody that my woman's a witch, they just like look at you like, what? Like, yeah, they're like, okay, hey, if I know I owe you $50, don't worry about it, just keep it's fine, I'm sorry if I ever offended you, I'm sorry, and then that's how they treat it. They look at it. A witch can terrorize an entire colony of people. One witch, if she's in the woods and she has her own little house out there, everybody around her is terrified. Like they don't go near there, they don't let their kids go near there.
Yes.
So but if you have a matabruja, somebody, but they're not everywhere. Like they're very, and it's not something that you could just become. And that's what I'm going to get at, what I'm going to cover next. So a matabruja is not made. You can't just be like, let's show me the ways of no, they're born. It's a bloodline. So you can think that you can.
Witchcraft that I feel you can become, but you can't. Yeah.
So
there's other times where you can't just like practice and be like, hey, this is what I am.
So that's what I was going to get at, and what I was going to cover next is that when you have somebody that's a cosmic witch, even in old books, like books that are not just Salvadorian, but like old European, they'll very clearly say that a cosmic witch cannot be made; they're born. Some of the stories say that she's born during a full moon, or when she's born, and that's a lore. Like, I don't know how true that is, but that's what they say. Like, that's how or she's drawn to outside and she can't look out as a baby. She can't stop staring at the moon and at the stars, and that's all she wants to do. So then they they break the news to the people. Like they're like, all right, I gotta see to tell you, her great great grandmother was a cosmic witch. So the so it's just things like that, and I believe that that a cosmic witch cannot be made. They're born. There's people out there that, they say, well, I'm gonna become a cosmic witch because it looks like fun, it looks like that, and you're like, all right, you can, but those are the same kind of people that will say shit like, oh, my magic isn't strong because it's a cloudy night, and it's like, no,
Exactly.
and yeah, and so a lot of people are saying like, well, a cosmic witch, that's a modern invention that came about in the 1980s because it became popular in a way. But how old is a cosmic? So the
Goes back
in the
so
Bible,
far.
in the Bible, in the Old Testament specifically, like this was, 5,000 years ago. Like, for example, in the book of Nehemiah, it talks about, be wary of those that are observers of stars or observers of time. Don't look
Mhm.
don't look to those that read the times by the stars. And it's like, what is it warning? What does that sound like? You know, do not look at those that are stargazers is another one. Stargazers is utilized in the book of Chronicles. The book of Chronicles? No, the book of First Samuel, because it's around the time of King Saul. So King Saul went and actually found the stargazer. So yeah, that's the warning that the prophet had given him. Like, do not seek out a stargazer. Do not go near them. So those are, a description of a cosmic witch. So they've been around for thousands of years. Some people argue that the cosmic witch may actually be the very first witch type of witch to exist.
I honestly actually was gonna say cosmic witchcraft, like from what I've read, what I've researched, it came way before paganism. It came before Wiccan. It came before the Green Witch. It came before the Silver Witch. It came before all these other subcategories of witches. I feel like all these other, I guess you could say, branches of witchcraft took different elements of cosmic witchcraft and just kind of threw it into their own.
Yeah, and it kind of like it's all derived.
In a
So like
way.
well, I mean, historically, when you look at not just in the Bible, but if you look at something like, for example, Beowulf, like that's considered one of the oldest, poems out there. In Beowulf, there was a witch that when they found her, she was glaring at the moon, and she was reading signs
Yeah.
by the moon, and she told the prophecy by reading the moon. So I mean, that's another example. So then then the argument that I make a lot of times when people are like, well, it's modern, and it's like, well, do you consider the Bible modern? Do you consider, Beowulf? Because even the Epic of Gilgamesh, that's something that's from the ancient Sumerians, like
Yeah.
when you look at that kind of stuff, like the Sumerian civilization is thousands of years old. And if you look at their tablets, there is a tablet it has the sun, and then it has the moon, and then it has all these planets, and they're all like perfectly aligned in perfect order, and then you have the symbol, which is like the symbol of a wand, and then the symbol of a snake. Well, they say a staff or a snake,
Yeah.
but people, you can't really tell, if it's a wand or a staff, or it doesn't matter. So when you look at that, it's like, well, what is that? That's a symbol for sorcery. That's what that is. So somebody they're telling the story of somebody that was gazing up at the sky, was looking at the planets, was looking at all these things, and that's a cosmic witch. There's tests out there
Well,
that some people hold. Like, how do you know you're a cosmic witch?
witchcraft, like there's like some that just embrace the moon, but there's also some that embrace the sun too. Like it has nothing to do with the moon. It has nothing, it's broad daylight. It's the sun that they worship. There's so many different, and there's also like the cosmic witches that do just the planets. There's cosmic witches that just do astronomy.
Yeah.
There's different subcategories of it too.
Yeah. So, here's another great example. In the Bible, the Magi, the three wise men.
Mhm.
How did they find out, where Jesus was located? It says that they were stargazers.
Looking at the North Star, following a fucking star.
So that they were stargazers, and they were astronomers. So and they were following a prophecy that is found in the book of Isaiah when it talks about the signs that will be there and who wrote. It's so, like I said, it's more evidence that it's thousands of years. So when people make that argument, like, oh, cosmic witchcraft came about in 1980s, is like, you're dumb. Like you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not even going to say you're dumb. It's just you fell for the propaganda.
Exactly. Well, like this have been using the stars and planets for generations, like not just for witchcraft, but for like travel. Like you look at the ancient Samoans, you look at the ancient Hawaiians. That was how they found their means. They used the stars. They used the sun. Like that's how you do shit.
Yeah, and I think that
they take advantage of that. Like people will be like, "Oh, well, the moon doesn't do that much." No, the moon controls a lot of shit, dude. Like our bodies are mostly water. What does the moon control? Water.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's an excellent point. It does control the movement of the tides and all that because the gravity, and even in the and what's interesting is
energy affects you. Then I'm sorry, you're fucking dumb.
What's also funny is the fact that when there's a full moon and police are on high alert, people will say that. So the term lunatic, is somebody that's insane. So there's more violent crime during a full moon than anything else, right? It even when you're I have friends that were detectives for Ogden City and all those kind of things, and then like once a full moon, they're like, oh, it's gonna be a rough night, So
they're like, this sucks, man. You want to switch shifts?
Sucks. Yeah, and that's what's so the very first mention of a description of a werewolf comes from an old book that was written by King James, who King James, the guy that helped publish that version of the Bible, the King James version. He also wrote a book on witchcraft and all those kind of things, and he translated from an old witch memoir with the help of a couple of old witches, and they talked about witches making men into dogs, like man dogs, and they would on a full moon, and there was violent attacks, and there's where that sounds like a werewolf. So the whole legend of the werewolf, you can make the argument that these were cosmic witches, and the cosmic witch is responsible for the creation of the famous werewolf, and during a full moon. So that's why also, again, when there's a full moon, you feel a little bit more tired, your feet drag a little bit more because they're saying, well, gravity is pushing down on you just a little bit more. But people make the argument that the reason why you're tired is because at that moment, the energy that you're gathering, and this is from the world of witchcraft. Like I said, I look at things and I'm like, is this sensationalism or is this true? But the reason why is because and this is the reason that they give. This is their explanation. I'm not saying I believe this, but the reason that they give is that we actually, well, yeah. So
you're sad.
Skeptic.
Yes.
So, hey, I observe
I can
things.
name so many reasons why.
Anyway, so you
Anyway,
have all these. So they believe that we take in the energy from the moon. I guess people, everything from nature, we get our energy. We get grounded. All these kind of things. But
everything is
during the full moon, all these cosmic witches are actually taking all their energy to fuel themselves. So it's almost like a priority. Like, all right, who's getting the energy from the elements? Well, right now it's the priority, and that's the daughters of Selene. So it halts feeding everybody, and it's feeding it to the witches, and that's why they're the most powerful during that time. And all these dark, and the thing is that people don't understand is that when you look at somebody like a cosmic witch, it sounds beautiful. It's like, oh, they observe a cosmic witch is by Nate, and that's how they would judge who could or couldn't be. Is a cosmic witch is aggressive, is very aggressive, very territorial. You know, they see, and they look at enemies like this person could be an enemy. So and then that's the script. Like, so those are like all elements. And so back in the day, when a girl was very aggressive, especially around a full moon, she was very aggressive. She was very this, she was very that. And they're like, she's a daughter of Selene, and then, so if what's interesting is
you just
that when we look at Selene, people just attribute her to either European or Greek mythology, but you have, Selene appearing, like I said, in Salvadorian lore. You have the ancient Mayans and Aztecs, they have their moon goddess, and they all come described the same way. She was silver and coated in light and had pet rabbits. Why the rabbit? I have no idea. They're always seen as like mythic, like magical creatures. So in all these, so if you look up, the symbol of a moon goddess, they always have pet rabbits. Like that's their main thing. And
yep.
so in El Salvador, when there's a gathering of rabbits, so rabbits come out at night, guys. But when there's a gathering of rabbits in one spot instead of spread out, people are like, I think we need to go back home, even if they're out hunting for rabbits at night. And that's a thing. So
the kind of person that would have been like, oh, look at all the cute bunnies.
well, they see it as a dark omen, and
yeah.
So like that omen is bad, and they're like, yeah, we got to go. Just like the same thing with the owl, the lechuza. Whenever you see a lechuza, it's a harbinger of death. But why is that? Because the word owl, or the word lilo or lechuza, actually it's an old word for sorcery or sorceress. So that's where that comes from. It's like this because harbinger. Right. So if you get visited by an owl, people are saying like that's a witch. And she came here to let you know she's gonna fuck you up. So and it wasn't the owl itself, it was the owl with the owl brought with. Anyway, so fuck, I'm going to many different directions because this topic is so big because it's such a big part.
There's a lot to it.
It's such a big part of my parents' culture. My father, he's still like a lot of the times, like I just remember we were walking at night and then he would just stop. And I was like, what? And then he pulls out so he had two machetes. He had his regular machete, which,
my little white Salvadorian son, stop.
yeah. So he had
Sorry,
two,
right now, so
his other machete, I've only seen him draw it twice. And both times was at night when we were walking. We were like, going on our little night patrols, or we're traveling. And then he stopped. And I'm like, ¿Qué pasa? And he's like, hay una bruja. There's a witch here. And then he would draw that machete. And that was a special machete. That machete had rust holes all over it because it was heated and it was quenched in blood. it was so like instead of quenching it in water, it was quenched in blood. And the handle was made out of sorry, the handle was made out of like deer bones, like lined up, and then they were like smooth. It was pretty cool looking. He still has it. So when he dies, come on, die soon. I'm kidding. So and and then the blade itself heated up heated up until it was red, the way that you would heat metal, and then it had ground up coyote or wolf bones like placed and rolled all around in it, and then it was quenched in blood, and then that's how you make a witch killing blade, and that's how you kill witches. That's how you kill, and in El Salvador, people use the term skinwalker here, like, oh, it's a skinwalker. It's any animal out there that is normally a human and they shapeshift. It's not a skinwalker, it's a bruja. And witches would turn to pigs, they would turn to dogs, they would turn to all kinds of things. And that's a completely different topic I could go off of. Like, I got plenty of stories of people calling my grandfather because a pig would, a female pig, a tunca is what they called it. A tunca would go in and just start biting the young man, and they would hit it with machetes, they would shoot it, and nothing would happen. And then it would go inside the house, steal shit, and then run off. And the men that were bit would get really bad fevers. So they would get really bad fevers. And then some of them would die, some of them wouldn't. So they would call my grandfather and be like, Mira, Juan, vení, this happened, this happened, this happened. So, and it's been happening in this little village for the last week. So he goes amongst the men and he dresses like them. And then he wasn't a smoker, but he said that well, this is my father speaking. He said that they would have them smoke and like blow the smoke on his clothing so that a pig wouldn't smell, whatever smell that he had. So pig would run in, he says, and this is the story. The pig ran in and started to bite somebody and ran up to bite him. And he says he draws his machete and then he cuts into it and blood goes everywhere and starts trying to run into the woods. And this is after it's been hit with a machete. The machete glances off and the pig is still coming. And then he hits it with his machete and blood goes everywhere. And then the pig begins to kind of like limp into the woods. And then he keeps going. And then he finds the shape of a woman without her skin. And she's just bloody and she's dying and she's trying to reach this what looks like a big pile of leather. But he says, if you look at it closely, it was like the skin of a woman. So this animal would go and shed its skin, hide it somewhere, and then morph into an animal, and then eventually go back and then basically put this skin back on and then become a woman the next day, before. So that's one of the... The what?
You can't shit like that happen here.
Well, I think it does. People just don't. I don't know. Anyway, so
it does. Can someone say something? I want to hear about it.
Yeah, geez, come on, people. So that's why when people are like, the skinwalker is a Native American folk, it's offensive to me, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's just because they wouldn't shut the hell up about it. No, it's like, well, you can't say skinwalker in a reservation. Yeah, then how come you don't shut the hell up about it? Anyway, so things like skinwalkers or brujas or brujos are found in every culture. So it's another aspect of witchcraft. That's what it is. It's another form of sorcery. It's not, Anyway, so going back to the story. So he draws this machete and he looks and he's like, there's a witch. That was one time. Okay. So a second time is we were going back home at night and we were carrying, rabbits because, we gone out at night and we had hunted rabbits. So we have these bunch of rabbits on our back. They're delicious. I mean, eat a rabbit and then you'll be like, I see it. So we're carrying these rabbits and then these dogs are howling. You can hear these dogs howling. And then my dad stops. And then he kind of like pushes me behind him. And he says, there's sorcery in this area. He said, right now. I'm like, okay. And I was a kid, of course. I'm not gonna be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh shit. And then he looks at me. He looks at me really close, and he looks me in the eyes, and he says, "There's a full moon out. This is gonna be a hard one." And I was like, okay.
You're like, I don't even care. Just let's get home. I'm over this.
I was like, okay. So yeah, so he was walking. He's got his special machete drawn, and he's very alert. Nothing happened that night, but he was like on very high alert, and he could sense it. We would go somewhere into the beach area, and then he looks at a woman, and he's like, "So una bruja," and then she's like, "Oh shit," and he just knew, like he could, and he thought he.
I would be scared if I was that witch. I'd be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
So he had this thing where it was just so weird because I said, and to my dad, it's no laughing matter. Like if we're talking about when I'm like, witches, and my dad's like, no, you don't laugh about this, So that's just how serious it takes this very day. Like, and then I said, how do you, and I'm the skeptic, so I'm like, how do you know? And he says, you could smell the magic off of them. And I was like, what? And he says, you could smell their magic. And that's how you know also how strong they are, is because the more pungent the smell. He said, and I said, what if they haven't showered? And he says, no, the smell of magic. And I was like, okay.
Hey, really?
Yeah. Okay, this is another funny story. So my brother went to El Salvador, and then he came back. I remember one day he has his backpack, right? And he has it with the souvenirs that he brought. My dad grabs the backpack and he's smelling it like a dog. And then he grabs it, he's reached in, and he says, where did you get this? And he's like, oh, we bought her off this old lady. And then he goes and he takes it outside and he fucking just throws it.
God.
So he bought a charm from this old lady. It's like a little sim. I didn't even get to see what it was. But that's smelling the backpack, and he like reaches in there and he finds it. He's like, "Where did you get this?" Esto, mira, ¿de dónde vino esto? And he's like, "No, de una viejita que está ahí." ¿De dónde? Una viejita. So he just goes outside, and he just throws it as hard as he can.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's just so crazy how different it is from here. Like you would not see anybody react that way here.
Yeah, it's serious.
I was not in the area we're in.
What's crazy is we went into this on I guess it kind of makes sense. Like I was talking about, we're going to talk about cosmic witches, and we go off of the tangent about like witchcraft in a culture. But I'm under the belief, because a lot of people believe this, that all witches are derived from a cosmic witch. Like it all comes from one place. So I guess this makes sense. Shit, we're almost we're over an hour. So we're gonna
guys.
So anyways, guys, thank you guys for joining us to this episode. It was exciting. Check out our merch. Check out our two sponsors, the Silver Witch and Loot by Lottie. It's good stuff. Check them out. Buy yourself a shirt. We got some new merch up, new designs up. Actually, I got this rabbit shirt I just made. This rabbit design I just made. It's not up on the store yet. I'll probably put it up tonight. But go ahead and check that out.
Guys.
What?
Probably tomorrow night. If we're gonna be really realistic here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
If it does tonight, add another day, maybe two.
Yeah.
Depending on the mood.
Depending on, well, don't say that. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for joining us, and remember to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Nightmare Road.
Bye.